Dear brothers and sisters, good evening. Welcome back to this evening's program. This evening we're going to have a lot of interaction with each other, because we're going to have the NEMA panel discussion, largely announced in the program. During this camp, this Tunisia camp, we found that we have discussed a lot of different perspectives or a lot of different aspects of relationships. So either getting to know one another, either how do you find your correct spouse, the beginning of the marriage conflicts, or having children, how to raise them. We find that maybe there are still some questions left, or some things that are general enough that if you have a question, then we can raise it and discuss it with everybody, so each of us can learn. The specific topic for this evening is cultural conflicts in relationships. Now I think that especially because we have to deal with this group, with a lot of people that have converted to Islam and then already in a relationship or are about to go into a relationship with somebody who may be coming from another culture. I think this is relevant for most of us. If it is not relevant for you personal, you probably know people that it is relevant to, so your knowledge can serve your friends or maybe your family. We're going to have a panel, well, I said panel discussion, but actually it's more like a question and answer session. Meaning that there's the opportunity for you as the audience to ask questions to one of the persons who is on our panel. What we're going to do is that if you have a question, you can raise your hand. I will come to you with the microphone. There are some rules to make sure we're going to do this in a nice and smooth way. First of all, I would expect everybody to have a question which is on topic. If you have a question which is not related to cultural conflicts in relationships, maybe if it's on relationships but not specific cultural, okay, we can do that. But let's not go into, well, the tafsir of this ayah or something like that. No, let's keep it to the topic. Second, who of you knows Twitter? Like nobody? Yeah, some people know Twitter. Most of people don't know Twitter. Okay. When you have a Twitter account, you learn that if you want to make a statement or you want to have a question, you need to put it in 140 characters. So this evening, if we're going to do, if I allow you to ask a question, please do it as if you're on Twitter. So don't give us a 25-minute introduction to the question. Try to stick to the point. Some other thing is that with an evening like this, please make sure that your question is actually a question. If your question begins with saying, my opinion is, we're going to go to the next person. Yes? If your question does not end with a question mark, we're not even going to answer it, we're going to go to the next person. So make sure it's really a question. Yes? We have people here that speak different languages, but we would like everybody to have the opportunity to have a question, to ask a question. If you raise your hand and I bring the microphone, if it is possible for you, you can ask the question in English. If you are not comfortable with asking the question in English, so for instance, if it's Spanish or French, ask the question in your own language, and then I will pass on the microphone to the translator. Yes? We have a panel consisting of 3 people. All of 3 you have already met before. Of course, here for you on the left we have Dr. Jamal Badawi. In the middle we have Sister Kathleen, and in the end we have Sister Aisha. Since we've had a lecture of each one of these, we more or less know their background, so when you have a question, try to focus the question on the correct person. However, for the 3 of you, if the person next to you has answered the question, but you feel like you have something to add, please, this is your microphone, so you can pass it around a little bit. Or if you feel that the person next to you maybe is more suitable to answer the question, you can also use that flexibility. If you have a question for me, sorry. Let's start. So everybody, I think that during this camp we had a lot of stuff that we can discuss and a lot of questions that we have. Who is the first person for this evening to start coming up with a question for this panel? Come on guys, give me like half an hour introduction. Yes?
Ik gokte op Victor.
Please answer with this microphone. I know. First we're gonna listen to the question. Keep it very close to your mouth.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Quería preguntar sobre, en el Corán hay una aya que dice que el hombre está un grado por encima de la mujer y esto se lo toma literalmente al pie de la letra en muchos hombres, en muchos países. Entonces quería saber al respecto qué opinan o cuál es la explicación de esta aya.
So, Dr. Jamal Badawi, is this haram?
Spanish first.
So, I need your help now. Did she answer with a question mark? Yes? Okay. So everybody, we're gonna get the translation now. Huh? Please, everybody, we're gonna get the translation. If you are talking, they can't hear the question. So let's try to get the translation now.
What she said is that in the Quran there's an ayah where it says that the man is at a certain point a degree superior to the women, and she says that some men take it literally and apply it at the normal life. They take it like for granted. And she needs an explanation for that, or she's asking for an explanation for that.
والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وله.
Is it on?
I think so.
I don't.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay. Number one, it's an issue of proper methodology of understanding the Quran. That we don't take one ayah here or there, one hadith here or there, and build a theory on that. Proper methodology is to bring together all the text of the Quran and sound hadith in a given topic because they explain one another. Number one. Number two, is there any superiority, if you say that degree is superiority, of men over women or the reverse in the Quran? The answer is no. Not only that the Quran did not stay silent on it, did not affirm it, it rejected it. For in chapter 49, verse 13 ends by saying, the most noble of you, akramakum, in the sight of Allah is one who is most pious and righteous. And that applies to men, to women, to all human beings. That is the only place in the Quran that speaks about superiority, and it is only by faith and righteousness, which is a fair way of distinction of people. But only in the sight of Allah, we don't boast on it in this life. Therefore, to claim that there is any ayah in the Quran or Hadith that can be rightly or correctly interpreted to mean men are superior or women are superior is totally wrong, and this is one of the ayat in the Quran that are definitive in its meaning. Number three, that this verse also says that men has a degree on women. Actually, it didn't say alayhinna, does not necessarily above her. And many common interpretation of this ayah has been that this is a reference not to a degree of superiority, but a degree of responsibility, that they are equal in everything, but you need a leader in the family, so that is the degree of responsibility. That's a reasonable answer. because it has another support also in the Quran that makes men responsible fully, as indicated earlier in the presentation, of the expenses of the household. However, there is a better answer also to this. And that reflects also another aspect of methodology of understanding the Quran. One must look into the textual context. In what occasion or what is the subject matter in which this verse appeared? This verse appeared in the context of the revocable divorce. Revocable divorce, which means the husband, when he divorces his wife for the first or second time, not in a huge state of anger, but if legitimate, planned type of divorce, then the relationship does not end immediately, because she has to stay for the waiting period, which would be up to 3 months for 3 cycles, feminine cycles, or if she's pregnant, it could extend until she delivers the baby. So this is, divorce is uttered but has not become effective. During the waiting period, the verse actually refers to the right of the husband, because he is the one who initiated divorce, that he has the right to revoke his divorce and go back to normal relationship with his wife. It is in this context that the verse says man has a degree. That is the degree of privilege of reforming his marriage. Again, it's not superiority. Allahu Akbar.
Next question. Over here. Who are you going to ask the question to? To Kathleen.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, my English is not good. Sorry, but I am married to a Moroccan man, and we have 3 daughters. Okay, but I am a convert, so I don't know how to teach my daughters into Islam. But for, can I explain? For example, we have the problem of the birthday, celebrating birthdays. I don't know if you understand. Elle me l'a traduit? En fait, ce que je veux savoir, c'est par rapport au... Moi, comme je n'ai pas été élevée comme une musulmane, je ne sais pas comment les musulmans élèvent leurs enfants par rapport à des choses culturelles. Enfin, j'imagine que c'est culturel. Par exemple, il y a des familles musulmanes qui célèbrent les anniversaires, d'autres qui ne les célèbrent pas. Moi, je viens d'une tradition où on célèbre les anniversaires. Je sais que c'est peut-être pas forcément correct, islamiquement parlant, mais bon, voilà.
Avec tous les frères que nous on a.
She's married to a Moroccan man. They have 3 daughters, and she's wondering how she can raise her children. She was brought up celebrating birthdays. Her husband is saying that it's not good to celebrate it. She wants to find a way to deal with it. And I think it's a person that is, yes, birthdays or other festivities.
Okay, inshallah. That's a very good question, because it often comes up within mixed marriages. It's not just birthdays, but there's other things. First, can I just say that as a couple together, you're coming together with different values. That you're coming with your values from your family and how you were raised, and he's coming with his values as how he was raised. And you need to sit down together to understand what are your values as a family. How do you want to raise your children, so you're not disputing, so you are both deciding together and on the same page and how you want to raise your children to avoid any conflicts. Regarding birthdays, the expert, mashallah, is here beside me, so I'm going to pass over to him to give you a proper answer, inshallah, around that.
Are you the expert on birthdays?
Yes.
Like, you want to have a good party? Sorry.
One problem that face a lot of Muslims these days is what Sheikh Qaradawi calls the lack of understanding of the fiqh, meaning understanding of priorities. Oftentimes, important things are put aside and the smaller things become the major focus of attention and wasting time sometimes. Now, we start again allowing for the proper methodology. There is nothing direct about that in the Quran, so that you might say if you do birthday, you're violating the word of Allah, the highest authority. There is nothing direct about it. Nor is there anything direct, I underline, also about it in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, except maybe some ahadith that advise Muslims not to blindly imitate other people. But that's a broad statement, because that definition of imitation even is open to changes of time and circumstances. For example, a lot of men are wearing pants that is not what the Prophet or the Sahaba wore, and we're not obligated to wear exactly what they wore at that time.
But we don't have to take the pants off now, do we?
You can put something on top of them if they're hard. Like I was
Just checking, just checking.
Here's mine.
Yes.
All right. So we cannot regard that now as a sort of deliberate imitation of the people who are not believers because we wear pants or jackets or other things of that nature. So that's why some people take it literally and make it too broad. But if you look at it, in fact, you find that what the Prophet probably meant was imitation in terms of things that you don't have to do. Now you have to wear pants because you're running around, getting into buses and all of that. But imitation that reflects weakness, that we are not independent, that we always have to keep up with the Joneses and with others. If this is the case, then even people who may not be Muslim even may not like it, just to imitate people for the sake of imitation. That's the only thing that could possibly remotely relate to that, and whether it applies or not. But I go back to the question of the understanding or fiqh of priorities. Now people who are raised in the context of this Western society, who have been used to go through this birthday, whatever reservation some people might have on it, and all of a sudden you start cutting everything off. What are the results, possible results of this? That they might think that Islam is no fun. I used to have my friends, what is wrong with innocent having cake and sing and so on? Even if you have certain, I know some people keep dwelling to find something wrong with that. But you have to look also in what the fuqaha, the scholars of the Islamic legal theory, ilm al-usul, you have to look at what is called ma'alat al-af'al. That means you might be doing something or correcting something that might be minor. It may be wrong, but minor. And as a result of that, you're causing damage that is greater than what maslaha or benefit that you're achieving from that. I would not make big fuss about it, but one time I made a suggestion. Somebody asked me the same question.